Battle of Fort Myers. We're going to Florida. 20th of February, 1865, when this battle was fought in Lee County, Florida.
Florida.
This is a very small engagement.
Florida.
And it's also known as the southernmost land battle of the Civil War.
Good for you, land battles.
Old Fort Myers is a shitty of a city. And it had been abandoned in 1858 after the Third Seminole War. And it was reoccupied by the Union soldiers in December of 1863.
And so nobody lived in the city for a whole 5 years?
Well, Union commanders planned to send cavalry in the area north of the Caloosahatchee River to confiscate livestock from the area cattle ranches, thereby preventing shipment of beef.
Who's got the beef?
Thereby preventing shipment of beef to Confederate Army of Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah, can't be allowing them to have no beef now.
1865, it was estimated that there was more than 4,000 head of cattle had been taken from Florida cattlemen by the Union cavalry from similar raids.
All right, well, sucks to be them.
All right, what are you going to do?
Fort Myers was used as a refugee center for escaped slaves and Union sympathizers
Fantastic.
who were being persecuted by the secessionists.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Unionists had their homes burnt down and were driven off their farms. At one period, during the federal reoccupation, more than 400 people crowded into the fort's grounds.
Oh.
The fort was garrisoned primarily by the 2nd Florida Cavalry, made up mostly of refugees who had enlisted.
Okay.
A recently detached company of the 110th New York Volunteer Infantry and a company of the 2nd United States Colored Infantry, both from Fort Zachary Taylor in Key West.
Fantastic. Rebel leaders in South Florida petitioned the Confederate government to organize the 1st Battalion of Special Cavalry, known as the Cow Cavalry, with the sole purpose of stopping the Union raids. Makes sense. This cattle guard battalion, commanded by Colonel C.J. Munnerlyn, was made up of cattlemen who were exempt from the regular Confederate Army. Why? Because they're cattlemen?
Maybe.
Yeah, somebody got to tend the livestock. Among them, guess who? You guessed it, old Captain Francis A. Hendry.
Hey, Francis, where you been? At the time that the Confederates planned their attack, the fort was particularly weakened. There were only about 250 men in Fort Myers, and they were short on weapons and ammo.
Oh.
On top of that, the troops from the 2nd United States Colored Infantry were still fatigued after returning only 2 days prior, following sustained skirmishing with the enemy.
That's plenty of days' rest.
Right.
Early February 1865, Captain Hendry's company of the Cattle Guard Battalion was deployed at Fort Meade. They were ordered to attack Fort Myers because it was learned that the fort might soon be abandoned. 3 companies between 275 and 400 men and 1 12-pounder artillery piece arrived at Old Fort Thompson, which is in LaBelle, Florida. They did that on the 19th of February, 1865. They marched down the river and camped near Billy's Creek.
Billy?
Damn, Billy's going to be pissed. It's good fishing right there. The next morning, they surprised several black Union soldiers on picket duty and shot or captured them as they tried to flee.
I mean, yeah. The firing had alerted the fort, so the Confederates fired a warning shot from their cannon, followed by a messenger demanding the Union troops surrender.
Oh, wow.
The fort's commanding officer, Captain James Doyle, sent back a refusal. He says, "Your demand for an unconditional surrender has been received. I respectfully decline. I have enough force to maintain my position and will fight you to the last."
Which he didn't.
Doyle then wheeled his own 2 cannons outside the fort. He said, "Try me.
Look at this bitch.
Try me."
Wow. Well, guess what? Battle began with black Union soldiers firing their artillery and the white Union cavalrymen firing their carbines. Throughout that very day, both sides continued sporadic firing, which finally ceased at dark. 1 black Federal soldier had been killed in the skirmishing. The next morning, the Cattle Guard Battalion returned to Fort Meade. Even though the attack had been repelled, Fort Myers was abandoned by its garrison in early March.
Jeez. So, like I said,
was a
a
waste.
needless, nothing to do battle. For what?
They were leaving regardless,
For what? Jeez.
just to say that.
Well, I mean, just so to say that they defended the fort.
Man,
Like, no, and then we're going to leave anyways. Joke's on you.